Hi everybody, I'm Chris Fitzpatrick and we're here at the Crocodile Game Studio and I'm here with some of my friends. This is Jordan, Clark, and Brian, and my lovely wife Felicity. And we are going to be looking at some of the new miniatures from the Rise of the Crocodile Queen Kickstarter that we're currently running on Kickstarter. So let's have a look. We just got in a bunch of the medals, these are the master castings, the very first castings from the green master mold that we made of the new sculpts. So we're going to check out some of these on camera. These three here, okay, so these three here are the very first castings of the loaders for the Saveki fling teams. Can you see them? Right, so this guy's going to have, he's pushing a wheelbarrow, which is why he does not have any hands on him. And here is his wheelbarrow part, if you want to try to show that with it.
Nice.
So the Saveki fling teams are basically, the Saveki are the crocodile men, and they're really strong and a little bit dim-witted. But they're so strong that they could take a boulder on a stick and fling it a bit like a catapult. All the way across the tabletop, and it'll do some severe damage to the enemies if it hits it. But as I said before, the Saveki aren't really very smart, so they need the city dwellers of Crocodileopolis, and that's the city that the Saveki live in. We did not make that up, by the way. That's the actual Greek name for the Egyptian city. But anyhow, the loaders are basically their human worshippers of Sobek, and so the loaders load the catapult bin on the fling pole and tell the Saveki where to fling it, and then the Saveki just let it rip with all their might. So there we have a Saveki, or no, he's not a Saveki. There we have one of the Crocodileopolis fling guys taking a break. He's worn out. If you look on the back there, he's got like a crocodile pattern scarification tattoo that I put on them to kind of show that they worship the crocodile and try to be more like the Saveki, which are the, sort of like they look at them like they're their big brothers, right? Saveki and the city dwellers in their society, they are of equal status. They're not, one's not subordinate to the other. So they're both.
So don't the city dwellers do a lot of the labor, like artisanal stuff that the
they do.
Saveki can't do themselves or won't do themselves?
Yeah, that's right. The city dwellers basically do the stuff that requires the brains, and then the Saveki will drive the tent poles and the chop wood and whatever else when they're making their little villages and so on. So here's another one of the models from the Kickstarter. This is, in fact, the Crocodile Queen, and she is a very tough human worshipper of Sobek, and wrap that around like that. There we go. Right under there. Basically, she's holding the axe, and she can hold the axe. Here, let me show you. She basically hold the axe in one of two different ways, like over her shoulder, which would be like that way. Get it just right. There we go. So over her shoulder that way, and she can also, if you choose to do it this way, put the axe where she's holding it in her hand like that. And somehow, I have no idea how I did it, I was able to get it to work either way.
So is she a named character, or is she just going to be a hero, or how is she functioning in the game?
She's not a named character yet. But that's a great question, and we would like to name her. We just have not thought of a name befitting a woman of her prowess and beauty. So if you've got a name, let us know, and we would definitely consider it. What I'd like to do with her is make her into a hero that has a name. She's a famous person, and she can be included with any warband if they include a Saveki if they include a Saveki unit, and so you could get her along with it. Normally, you wouldn't be able to get special characters and stuff, but with her, I'm going to make an exception in her rules so that she basically is, if you take the city dwellers, that she comes with them.
So could I take her with the city dwellers? Like, so say I had city dwellers of Sobek in my army and I was playing Heiru, I could take her, but could I also do that if I ran like a unit of just regular Sabeki warriors?
Yeah, the game considers Saveki or city dwellers to be, I think, the same no matter what. As long as they're worshippers of Sobek, then they count for the special.
The actual Saveki.
I think so. I would have to check that. It's been a long time, but I'm pretty sure that's the way it
You wrote
works.
everything down.
Exactly. I write these things down so I don't have to remember who said that.
You said that.
Actually, I think it was Sean Connery in
Nice.
Indiana Jones, right? I stole it from him.
Oh.
Steal from the best.
That's right. So that there is a Crocodileopolis Archer, and again, he's got the cool scarification tattoos on his back.
Is this bow authentic to something that would have been used in ancient Egypt?
I don't think that they had reed bows. All the depictions of bows I had seen were looked like they were made out of wood, but it's a little hard to tell. But they did use bundled reeds for all kinds of stuff, and so I thought that would be more in keeping with kind of their swampy nature. They made whole boats out of bound reeds like that. If you imagine, basically these great big floating canoes, and so if you see on this guy, also like the arrowhead is actually, if you can kind of zoom in on that, it's supposed to be a tooth. So like they're using arrows, like the arrowheads are the teeth of crocodiles, and they may end up getting a special unit ability where it gives you an extra damage modifier,
Piercing
the piercing teeth of Kralek or something like that.
They are also quite muscular.
Yeah, all of the Saveki city dwellers are beefy guys. They got to be to live with the Saveki. They play roughhousing games.
So although it's a reed bow, theoretically, other city dwellers couldn't even pull it. So you almost have to be...
Yeah, that's a fun way of looking at it, too, and that might help to explain why they would have a better damage modifier. So, this guy is the first of the Saveki, not the Saveki, the city dweller spearmen. And we're going to have a whole unit of them.
Love the shield.
Thanks. One of the guys, I think it might have been Craig, somebody was pushing for turtle shields for the Saveki for the longest time, so finally we said, we're going to do it.
Yeah.
And so, he's got what's probably a great big swamp turtle for the shield, and then his spear is made of maybe some kind of flint-like stone, and then again, giant crocodile teeth tied into the top.
Is the shield holding onto the peg just on its own right there?
Mm-hmm.
Right there, yeah.
That's some high tolerance there, buddy.
Okay, thanks.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, we try to make it work first time. Sometimes it works, but yeah, that's pretty good. It is holding on. And normally, when we make War Gods miniatures, if you look at the shield, on a lot of them there will be two holes, right, on a War Gods figure, and either of those holes will fit the peg on their hand. But some of them have the shield held, where the arm is held bent, and so in those cases you would use the top hole, or if the shield is down to the side, you use the bottom hole. So the shield is basically positioned properly. If it was right in the middle, then when the guy held the shield up like this, then it would cover up his face. And it doesn't really work. So you basically, when you're putting together your miniature, use the shield peg that's going to look the best. Use the one that's going to fit the best.
You can just fill the other one with putty.
You can fill the other one with putty, or not even mess with it, because who looks at the insides of the shields on a unit? Nobody really pays that close of attention.
Well, if somebody's that close to my model, I might be like, why do you have my rank
Why
and
is
file
your-
guy in my face?
Why is your face on my model?
Exactly. So let's take a look at some of the Flingers. Actually, these guys are a lot of fun. So what we've got here are So the Flingers, all of the heads and tails on the Flingers are interchangeable. So you could theoretically take Flinger head A and stick it on body B and have a bunch more different pose options than if you just wanted to put them on the heads that they come with in the pictures, so they can kind of be mixed and matched all you like.
So then if you have multiple units, they don't all look the same.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, and there's going to be the option to have more than just 3 fling teams. You'll be able to have possibly 6 teams altogether. I haven't entirely decided for sure because I need to. It's a points thing. I need to make sure that it's not going to be overbalanced.
Can we take a look at the behind, like, of the catapult type thing?
That's a fling pole.
The fling pole?
Yeah, that's the technical term.
So, I noticed when I was looking at it, like, the texture on the back of it.
Uh-huh.
I thought it was pretty cool.
Oh, thanks.
Is it like carved wood or?
Yeah, so that would be like a great big probably a carved wood, and then they stuck giant crocodile teeth, or the teeth of some other unnamed swamp monster, along the sides, like little claws, to keep it to hold on. And then there's like the second fling pole. There's 2 different fling poles. So there's that one, and it has 2 great big long tusks, basically on either side of the bowl, to give them a little bit of a different variety. And then we also have a rock. I think I have some rocks somewhere. Somewhere there are rocks, and then you can put a rock in the thing, but I don't see them at the moment. So why don't you show off some of the ones that you've got? Felicity just assembled and primed a couple of these this morning, and we've been painting and doing a hobby day getting some of these ready, so show off some of the assembled guys.
So this is the first assembled Flinger, which I haven't painted just yet. But he is a fun miniature. I like to think of these as female Saveki, but that's just me.
They could be either one.
And then this is the second one, all assembled and ready to paint. And then I started base coating the city dwellers, made some extra light here.
Here, I'll hold it.
So this is the guy taking a break.
And this is just sort of the first coat of paint
Yes,
on him, right?
he just has his base color right now.
Yeah. Show them with the wheelbarrow.
This guy also only has his base color. So this is what I've started working on today.
Were you able to get any of them done?
Well, now that you've come to mention it, here's one I finished earlier.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, these guys are a lot of fun to paint.
I like how you did the scarification tattoos, like a little bit different tone.
Yes.
The scars.
Well, I did some
They always feel
research.
kind of pink, don't they?
Yeah, I did some research on scarification.
There's some cool patterns of scarification I've seen on YouTube.
So
Not on
this
YouTube,
is this
on
guy.
Google.
See if I can zoom in a little bit.
Put your hand behind it.
There we go.
Yeah,
So
he's,
he is obviously straining quite a lot
Yeah.
under that weight.
yeah.
And then here is a Flinger that I also finished earlier.
All right.
And she is looking fabulous.
She does.
Are the Flinger heads similar to the Master Words?
Yeah. I would say they're sort of the same breed as the Master Words, right?
Yeah.
They're like a gharial. Is that right? Is it gharial? Breed of crocodile, which are sort of like river crocodiles. They might be from South America, I don't know, but they're crocodilians, so they work as a Saveki. Yeah, I used them, and so I think that those are probably Saveki that are a little bit more smart than the other Saveki. the Nile Crocodile Saveki are all bronze and no brains, whereas the guys with the skinny snoots are a little bit, they got a little bit more going on upstairs. So, all right. Do we have any others here to show off? I think that's about, looks like that's about all of them. We also have, I also made an additional, wheelbarrow. That was the original wheelbarrow I made for them, and then it ended up being too small for the guy to hold. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the spare wheelbarrow, but that was, we decided to go ahead and mold it as
Like
well.
a great little scenery piece.
Yeah. So it may be, some of you guys have noticed that here, hold this one up. Some of you guys have noticed that with the loaders, I've made them on integral bases rather than on slotted bases, because right now we're not sure if they're going to be based with the Saveki or if they're going to be based separately on a 25 millimeter base or on a 20 millimeter base, which is what they're normally on, because human size miniatures are normally on a 20 millimeter base. And so rather than, decide early on, I just put them on integral bases so that they can be glued flat to a base. But we'll come up with a solution on that, make a final solution on that here in the next couple weeks. So,
What do you guys think?
Very cool.
I can't wait to actually get the minis. I went all in because I hadn't. I'm 30 years old now, and I first got into Wargods when I was 13. I love my Heiru. That's what I started with. I've always wanted Saveki, but now that I'm an adult with my own income, I can get them. So I'm pretty excited. All things considered, yes.
I like that you've done, so Saveki traditionally don't have a lot of ranged attacks.
no, not at all.
And now you've given them two different kinds of ranged attacks.
Yeah.
Bows, which theoretically are going to work maybe a little better than normal bows, but still bows. And then these, handheld trebuchets,
Yeah.
which are probably going to have a lot different effect on enemy units.
Oh, for sure.
It's not going to be, one shot, one kill or whatever. It's going to be.
They're definitely going to be more like a siege weapon or
Oh,
something.
speaking of that, yeah, if you guys do like a narrative event where a group of Saveki are like sieging a town, like that'll be really cool to be able to like break down like the gate or something with
Yeah.
Or
the
yeah,
catapult.
those scenarios where you have to destroy a building or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, the fling poles will do structural damage, so they will be able to be used to really do some damage on, a stone colossus or a castle wall or something.
Oh,
So,
I didn't even think about the stone colossus
they'll-
aspect of it.
They'll hurt the stuff that normally is practically invulnerable.
Yeah.
So
And then combined with the close combat of a normal Saveki, you've got a good balanced force. So.
that's right. Yeah. So another fun thing I just finished is this guy.
Woohoo!
So this isn't full miniature. This is just a little hat. This is a crocodile hat, basically made out of the head of a crocodile that will fit on any of the. It'll fit on any of the bald city dwellers. So you could stick it on the spearman, or you could stick it on. You want to just pop it off. It's got a bit of blue tack on it.
Can you ship these spearmen with the turtle shield? Because that's literally, I want to do an entire unit of elite forces, these guys with the headgear, the shields, the whole deal.
Yeah.
I think it's going to give them a very heavy look and make them look a lot more. The bald heads make a lot of sense and they look great with the scarification and everything. But I like that headpiece because it really sells the idea that they're mimicking the Saveki.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they definitely want to look just like their big brothers, and it's
He lost his little hat.
yeah.
From a narrative type standpoint, you could maybe have those are the
You wanna
elites
hold it
of
up?
your Azar units or something. They could be temple guards maybe.
Or it's you're adding amulets, so that could be used as an amulet of Sobek.
Oh, that would be really
That
cool.
you get,
Sure,
you
yeah,
get the
you
hats, and there you go.
It may be too. I would like to do more rules for individual units for the different Egyptian factions, and so how we did with the Olympus
Amazons,
hoplites
yeah.
and the Amazons. They have battle honors, which are basically ways of differentiating one Amazon hoplite, or one Amazon warrior unit from another Amazon warrior unit, or like one Athenian hoplite unit from another Athenian hoplite unit. They give them different abilities based on what shields you give them or how you paint them. And we could do the same thing with the Saveki, and especially with the Saveki city dwellers and all of the city dwellers from Egyptus. They could have different ways of being painted or presented, which would give them some little special rule on the battlefield, which ties into the way the humans work in War Gods. Is that a human is much more versatile than a Saveki or an Anubai. An Anubai is an Anubai. It follows the ways of Horus, right, or the ways of Anubis, whereas a human can do all sorts of other, much more versatile. They can worship whoever they want, and so on. And so we can give them a lot of neat little abilities.
Real quick before we take off, tell me the historical. There's actually crocodile armor that was found.
There was, yeah. You can look it up. I think they have it at like the British Museum, and there's several examples of it. There was armor made from the hide of a crocodile, and it was sort of during. What they have is from Roman era Egypt, so like, kind of post Cleopatra kind of Egypt, or around that time, and it's from the area they think around Crocodileopolis, where they basically had they skinned a crocodile and made armor out of it, and it's like a leather jerkin that goes on the front, and then like a headdress with the back of the crocodile skin going down the back of the neck. And so that's what inspired me to make these guys. I thought about actually putting the heads on all of the warrior units, but the problem is that a crocodile head is so long that if you put it on a guy, the only way you can cast it is if he's always like this to the side. So it had a whole unit of guys looking like this to the side, and it doesn't really work. But this way you can add it to the unit if you want to, because they're all bald. And they also have their heads looking all this way and that, and so they'll have a nice shape about them that should make it look quite interesting, visually interesting. Yeah. So, and then here we have like the most recent green. If we want to show this. So that's the most recent green, and you can put. So that is the musician for the Crocodileopolis Spearman unit, and he's still bald. He's got like a little headband with tassels down the side made of crocodile skin. But I added that because I thought that might make it more visually interesting. If you then later put that on top of it, I don't know if I'm going to be able to. I need your fingers to do that.
I think having them bald is a great starting point, though, because you can have, you can do makeup effects where they have like face paint, like war paint, something like that, and that might be a way of differentiating your units, whatever. But besides the casting issue of having the crocodile face, that kind of limits them. So this way they're a good starting point. You can do a lot with it.
What's cool too is like you can, if you really wanted to and use some green stuff, you could also put hair like a long like ponytail. Like
you remember back in the 80s with Workshop, where one of the first things they teach you how to sculpt with green stuff is a mohawk, and I could actually see a bunch of city dwellers with little short mohawks, or like the Crocodile Queen has. Yeah. Kind of little dread mohawk or whatever. You could really play around with that a lot.
So Felicity's just put up on the screen. That is the last of the, which the latest of. I may do some more if there's an interest in it. But the latest of the nippers, named by Craig Tannock.
Sandfly.
So they're basically adolescent Saveki. Compared to a regular Saveki, they're maybe half the size, maybe 2/3 the size of a regular Saveki. What did I do with mine?
I just like how happy he looks.
No,
so here's a Saveki body. That's the green of a Saveki body next to the nipper. So if you see, it's sort of like a little kid Saveki, and along with it. So.
And what is their job?
Oh, they're going to go along with the Cook. Now, I don't have the Cook model here. Des is still finishing it up, but the photos look really great. So the nippers are going to be the Cook's helpers, and so the Cook has a great big stew pot, and he's mixing up a batch of his famous who knows what is in it. But the Saveki love it, and so all of the nippers that I've done so far basically have a little bowl of soup of some sort, and then they're going to basically be like a DoorDash delivery system running around the battlefield. And if they can get the bowl of soup to a Saveki unit, maybe even for any unit, I haven't decided, but to a unit, then you'd roll a die and see what effect it'll have on them, and it might give them that temporary bonus, or who knows, maybe it'll make him sick. He's not that good of a cook.
I beg to differ. You had that swamp stew.
Swamp stew. That's all. That
Actually,
just sounds awful.
Yeah, it's good.
I actually think maybe what I ought to do is okay. So the chart will have, it'll be a random chart, and then humans will have to add a +1,
Yes.
or +2, and then like Crocodileopolis humans would add a +1, and so like the top 2 results would be really bad. And so, not really bad, but they get a sick stomach or something.
Yeah.
And then Saveki don't have any problem with that at all, obviously, because it's made for them. So yeah.
Oh, the Kemmerer probably couldn't eat it. It probably has meat in it. And they don't eat meat, so
Probably. Yeah,
they get violently ill if they eat it.
Oh, we love.
I'm just saying, give vegetarians meat, and that's what happens.
Well,
so.
and it's too good for the Typhon.
Yeah.
Just,
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, the Typhon will eat anything.
Actually, could you imagine? Could you imagine?
It's not rotten enough for
Yeah.
them.
No,
That's what I'm
can you
saying.
imagine
Right.
Tethru trying to eat that?
Literally,
Dip their beaks.
Yeah,
the Typhon can literally eat anything. Like
right.
it won't poison them as long as it. I mean, poison might poison them, but like any rotten meat, they can.
That's what I'm saying. No, it's not rotten enough
yeah.
for them.
My one
Like-
weakness, poisocane.
Yeah, they can eat anything. So, but we'll work on the Typhon later if we can get to them. I'd love to do a whole city dweller.
Oh, and we were looking at
Set.
that musician. Backers, get in the comments. Let us know. Would you like the gong to be blank or to have the hieroglyph of Sobek on it? I
Hot topic.
personally, I like the hieroglyph on there, but I understand the argument for being able to freehand the
Well,
gong.
if you don't like the symbol, get a file and make it flat, and then freehand your symbol.
Hey, but I'm.
It's not that hard, yeah.
Well, yeah, but you know what? Some people prefer it blank, and that's fair too.
We
So-
might be able to make it work both ways. We'll see.
Yeah.
It's done now. I could press it like this and then sculpt a gong on it, or sculpt a symbol on it later. So we'll see if that works out.
But get in the comments. Let us know.
The problem is then I have to make a
This is a YouTube, dude.
mold of both things.
No, they're Kickstarter comments.
Okay, you're right.
Yeah,
if you say smash that like button, I'm getting you.
Well, there are actually you can like
You're right, okay,
updates.
don't say smash it. You're
Well,
not, you're
fair
not the
enough.
Hulk or a Saveki. So.
Well, everyone's a little bit of a Sabeki with this
That's right.
Kickstarter.
That's right. We all want to be.
Kind of like how everybody's a little bit Irish on on St. Patrick's Day.
We're all a little crocodilian.
All right, so that's what we've been working on. We'll try and do another update maybe next weekend and show you guys what further progress has been made. Thanks for tuning in with Crocodile Games, and we will see you on Kickstarter. Bye bye.